Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we finally have some news for Warhammer the Old World, some very big stuff as big reveals have just been showcased. So as you can see on screen, we now know that there's not one launch box but two army boxes coming out. One for Bretonnia and one for the Tomb Kings. What this means is you won't have to buy a box to share with a friend. In fact, if you've got one of the two armies that you're most interested in, you can just buy one, or, you know, if you're like me, two, and end up with a lot of, well, core. It's actually all core units from what I can tell here. So let's talk about everything that we are getting, actually. I'm in a really surprised mood. So first up, they're confirming here that it's not just one launch box, but two separate ones, massive core army boxes, each containing a full 1,250 point army with dozens of all plastic miniatures each. On top of that, you get a complete 352 page hardback rulebook, that's the core rulebook, a 4-page reference sheet, 20 d6 dice, one 6-sided scatter dice, which, I mean, makes a lot of sense, 3 weapon templates, so large, medium, and breath weapon, I'm assuming, 2 classic red plastic measuring sticks, oh my god, and transfer sheets, cool. Transfers are always really, really cool. No artillery dice, though. I guess they're doing away with that, which is perfectly fine, unless it comes in another kit. Well, there's no artillery in these forces, so yeah, kind of makes sense. Alright, let's continue. Alright, so here we have the Tomb King contents. These unfortunately leaked a while back, but we can talk about them now. 93 Tomb King miniatures. That's actually pretty cool. So we get a Lich Priest on a Bone Dragon, which can also be a Tomb King on foot, or vice versa. Then it's all classic kits, right? So 40 Skeleton Warriors, 32 Skeletal Archers, 16 Skeletal Horsemen, and 3 Skeleton Chariots. Pretty good overall, that's all pretty much core. Keep in mind that the Skeletal Warriors and the Horsemen have different loadouts, so you can have them with spears, you can have them with hand weapons and shield, and the Skeletal Horsemen can also be bowmen. This is if all the kits remain the same, by the way, which I'm assuming are going to stay the same, because these are like super old kits. I have been painting a bunch of these original kits that I've had boxes and boxes of, so yeah. Overall, pretty good, pretty good. I think that's a pretty good way to start. 1,250 points is not the main thing. Obviously, keep in mind that certain places will play 1,000, certain places will play 2,000. It's a pretty good start in terms of that. Like, it's very good high point values, to be honest. I have a feeling that that Bone Dragon is going to be like a lot of points, though, because Skeletal Warriors were cheap in 8th edition. I'm imagining that they're going to be cheap here, too. Yeah, overall, really happy with all this. It's a pretty good box. Now we got the Bretonnian box, and this one is really curious, mostly because there's some Pegasus Knights there, which generally weren't core back in the day, I believe. But let's talk about what we have, right? So 76 miniatures, smaller, but it's expected. This is why, you know, horses are like a bigger thing. But yeah, you get the new Lord on a Royal Pegasus, which can be built as a Duke or a Baron. We know, for example, that this can also be a flying BSB, which is pretty damn tasty. They're backed up with 12 Bretonnian Knights of the Realm. Not too bad. That means 2 groups of 6. 36 men-at-arms. Wow, I'm actually quite impressed. I've recently sorted out, I think, 40 of my own ones, so having a nice little addition to that is going to be quite good, because I want to do like a full peasant army at one point, if it's viable, of course. Then 24 peasant bowmen with 2 defensive stakes, 3 Pegasus Knights, and transfer sheets with 176 transfers. Good freaking lord. Yeah, I mean, overall, that is pretty tasty. I'm actually the most happy about the Pegasus Knights. I only have around, I want to say 12. Yeah, I think I've got around 12 at home, and I wanted to get a few more, so getting 3 in a box is actually quite good. Also a Lord, because the old Pegasus just wasn't great for a Lord. So this is going to be really, really, really nice. We've also got confirmation here that the rulebook will also be available separately. It's 352 pages, we already knew this, with 70 pages of background lore. This is great, because, you know, background fluff is very, very important, something that I feel like 40k has been losing out on a little bit, so it's good to see that lore is still a big thing here. Plus core, advanced rules for the game, an explanation of the winds of magic, and rules for casting spells, a gallery of armies painted by the Heavy Metal Studio, and the rules for building armies and setting up your battlefields. Awesome. It will also be available as a digital EPUB version for easy access to the rules on the go. fantastic. That is actually fantastic news. This means that we're going to be getting, it's going to be easier for you to go to play games, right? So you don't have to lug a massive book with you. I mean, I'll still be taking it with me because, you know, these these books are generally used as weapons sometimes. But yeah, no, it's cool. Nice blue color scheme there too. Yeah, it's really pretty. And now we have some more details with the Forces of Fantasy and Ravening Hordes. So this means that all 9 factions at the core factions, by the way, will have their rules available at launch in one of 2 tones covering the Forces of Good and the Forces of Evil, Forces of Fantasy and Ravening Hordes respectively. This is a nice throwback to 6th edition, essentially. Forces of Fantasy is a 192-page book available in hardback and EPUB formats covering 5 factions, the Dwarven Mountain Holds, the Empire of Man, the Kingdom of Bretonnia, the Wood Elf Realms, and the High Elf Realms. Okay, cool. Each army gets an introduction, a gallery of miniatures, a grand army composition list, that's probably one of the sub-factions, a complete set of unit profiles, so you'll need to have, no need to have a separate army book to play. Wow, awesome. Special rules, magic items, and unique spells. Ravening Hordes contains all your evil factions. It's a 160-page book, or EPUB, which has the Orc and Goblin tribes, the Warriors of Chaos, the Beastmen Brayherds, and the Tomb Kings of Khemri. Oh, right, that explains why they put the original artwork that caused controversy. Calling them evil is just because they're going to be in the same index book, essentially. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Alright, now we've got something called Arcane Journals. In addition to these hefty hardback books, there are the Arcane Journals, softback books for each faction that expand it all out with history, heraldry, maps, special characters, including a certain undead emperor. Oh, so Cetra's going to be there. Magic items, spells, a historical scenario, and thematic armies of infamy, which let you select armies of very different compositions. That's a pretty cool system, right? For instance, the Arcane Journal, Kingdoms of Bretonnia, has rules for armies of Bretonnian exiles and errantry crusades, while Arcane Journal, Tomb Kings of Khemri, provides the Nehekaran royal host and the mortuary cults. It is important to know that you don't require an Arcane Journal to play your chosen faction. All the units and army rules are contained in Ravening Hordes or Forces of Fantasy, but they do provide a trove of extra options and extra depth for discerning generals. The Arcane Journals for the Kingdom of Bretonnia and the Tomb Kings of Khemri will arrive at launch alongside their army releases, with those for other factions following in the future. Okay, yeah, makes sense. I mean, right now, they're going to be focused on Tomb Kings and Bretonnia. I'm really curious to see what happens with, say, for example, Warriors of Chaos, because it's a faction that I really, really do like. And I'd like to see Beastmen, you know, getting some interesting things. I don't know how they could do it, because they were essentially always just like the skirmish faction, right? But yeah, I mean, if they're going to do like Armies of Infamy and just have different themes, yeah. I wonder how it could work for a royal host. Same thing with the mortuary cults. It's really, really curious. Ooh, alright, so we've got 3 new Tomb King sculpts. We got Nekath. This is the Emissary of Cetra, which, oh my god, what a cool cast. That's on the left. In the middle, we have the Battle Standard Bearer, a really nice updated take on the old one that we've had. You know, remember the old metal one that was just kind of top-heavy? And finally, a new version of the Tomb Swarm. This is actually really, really impressive. Because the old one was just kind of boring, let's be honest there, right? Wow, I'm surprised. I'm imagining that these are all going to be resin, though. Because characters generally end up being resin. The Battle Standard Bearer, it would be nice if it was plastic, though, because we've seen, like, the Battle Standard Bearer for the Bretonnians, obviously the one on the Pegasus, being plastic. These are really, really cool. I love the designs. I think that this is going to be a wonderful addition to the Tomb Kings, because obviously we know that we're getting a lot of plastic sculpts back, and people were getting really angsty, I guess, when the original Tomb King box leaked. But, yeah, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I'm really happy that they're updating all the cast to be more, well, modern. Hopefully, if this setting gets enough support, because that's the thing that we're all kind of worried about, we'll start to see a lot of older stuff that really didn't age too well, getting a little bit of love. Some of the orcs that we know are coming back because of promotional images and so on have been looking a little bit dated, so it would be nice to, you know, get a fresh coat of paint from the designers, essentially. But, yeah. Okay, and we got some big information here. So on top of all these, a full range of classic Khemri miniatures will be returning to bolster the forces featured in this article, with much more to come in the future. So they've got plans for a lot more Tomb King stuff? Cool. The Bretonnians and the Tomb Kings are just the first of 2 of 9 factions arriving in the world of legend. The rules for the other 7 factions will be available at launch in Forces of Fantasy and Ravening Hordes, and look out for miniature releases for the other 7 in due course. Okay, so at the beginning it's just going to be the Tomb Kings and the Brets, and then we're going to see the others, which, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Don't worry, if you're more of a follower of Hashut or Interpreter of the Great Plan, Legacy Army PDFs for the other 7 factions will, from the Warhammer Fantasy Battles, will be available shortly after launch. Okay, so yeah, they want people to buy the Tomb King and the Bretonnian box first, and then put those out, which, yeah, makes sense. All that's left now is to reveal the pre-order date for this avalanche in the world of legend. We've got a suspicion it might be quite soon. Keep an eye on the Warhammer community to find out exactly when. Oh, interesting. It's making me believe that it's going to be very early into 2024. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, soon for GW is kind of like soon for Creative Assembly. It takes a while. But yeah, overall, really happy with these reveals. I'm super excited. Oh, I don't know what to buy first. It's either going to be the Brett. I think it's going to be the Brett box. But that dragon looks really, really cool. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm going to start a bit of a discussion. Hopefully you guys had a nice break, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.